You'll have to excuse me. My mouth is dry. I have to get some water. So this is a little bit, one of the messages kind of inspired me at TCTC. Put a little bit of a twist on it, something a little bit different that he didn't do. But for the most part, it's coming from that. And some of the choir asked me what the chairs were up for, and that's for y'all to sit in for my demonstration. No, I'm just kidding. So these 4 chairs, they're up here. I don't know if everybody can see them all, but there is 4. These are going to be representing 4 chairs of faith. And we're going to use, or I'm going to be using these today to kind of go over 4 different stages of faith. I'm also going to be throwing a little bit of baseball, just as an illustration point as well, to help keep you all awake. So this first chair to my right, this chair is going to be representing somebody that is a no-doubt Christian believer. This is somebody that when they step into a room, they immediately, you can see God's presence in them, their love for God. So this person, they're there at church when the doors are open. They have many qualities of Jesus. They're very loving, very kind. They are there for one another. They just exude God's love. And, you can just tell when you see this person, when you're around this person, there are no doubt they have fully invested themselves in God. So we do have a great example of this as well. Oh, my baseball point. About forgot that. So in baseball, we're going to have this chair represented by a home run. This is going to be a no-doubt home run in baseball. When somebody hits the ball very well, especially a really good player, they know when that ball comes off the bat if it's gone. So this is going to be our no-doubt home run chair, that when that ball comes off the bat, they're just trotting around the bases. They know it's out of the park. They don't have to try very hard. They're done. Just like a no-doubt Christian believer, they know where their faith is at. They put their faith in God. They know where they're at with their relationship. So this person, again, like I said, we get a good example of this in Matthew 16:24 through 25. Jesus states, it says, "Then Jesus said to his disciples, 'Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me will find it.'" So we get a great example of that. To be a no-doubt Christian believer, we have to give up our own lives, what we want to do for ourselves, and to listen to God and follow his life and his plan for us. That is one of the biggest steps we have to make to being that no-doubt Christian believer. And it's not just one day a week. It is every day we have to wake up, give our lives to God, and follow his plan for us. So that's our first chair. That's going to be our no-doubt Christian believer. So the second chair next to that, to my right as well, this is going to be our nominal Christian. This is going to be our next step in faith. So this person is a baptized believer. They do go to church, but this is somebody that hasn't fully committed to God yet. They haven't made their decision that they're all out for God. Everything they do when they wake up each and every day, they're taking up their cross daily and living for God. So this person, again, they may not be doing nothing wrong. They may not be living a life full of sin, but they've not made that full, final commitment yet. And this person, again, this is our nominal Christian. This is going to be represented in baseball terms. It's just going to be like a home run, a regular home run, not something when you hit it off the bat. This person, in baseball terms, they're not really sure the ball's out, so they may be running around the bases a little bit harder, trying to get some extra bases out of it. But eventually, that ball does go over the fence and is a home run. They're a baptized believer. They've made that first step. So you may be asking me, what's the difference in the second chair and the first chair? The nominal Christian versus the no-doubt Christian believer. And it is, again, that person that has not made that final step. They've not made that biggest decision of all to give up their own life, to sacrifice their life, their decisions they want to make for themselves, and they are following Jesus 100%. They are fully committed to God. So that's the first 2 chairs. And we're going to go back to those in a minute, but I want to go through the next 2 chairs to my left as well. So this third chair to my left now, this is going to be somebody that is very curious about their faith. They've not made that decision to follow God yet. They're not baptized, but they're going to church. They're very curious again about their faith. They're involved, but they again have not made that step to become baptized. So this person, in baseball terms, we're going to represent them as a double play. So, not a double play, ground rule double. We'll get it right. Double play's an out. ground rule double. So ground rule double in baseball, if you don't know, that's when you hit a ball, it's in the air, it's a very good hit, bounces off the ground, and with a little bit of assistance from the ground, that ball goes over the fence, that player gets 2 bases. So just like in baseball, that ball needs a little bit of help to get over that fence. It's not just going to go over by itself. It's got to bounce, have a little bit of gravity, a little bit of help, and go over the fence. Just like with this third chair, this is somebody that, with a little bit of help from church, somebody that may be mentoring them, somebody that can get them to that next step, then they can make that commitment and to follow Jesus and to get baptized. So this chair has got a very, very big commitment they need to make. They've got to make a big step, a big jump in their life. But just like in baseball, that double play or that ground rule double can be an out. You know, if you have a really good outfielder on defense, they may be able to track that ball and catch that ball, and that person's just out. It's the same thing that can happen to this third chair. Like I said, they have a big commitment they need to make. They can easily get caught up in the world and stop going to church and not make that decision to follow God. They can backslide and go away from faith and away from God. So that's our third chair. Our fourth chair in this demonstration, this is going to be somebody that has nothing to do with God. They don't want anything to do with God. They are farther away from faith as they possibly could be. This person is going to be represented in baseball by somebody that's just going up there to take pitches. They have no intent on swinging the bat or trying to get on base. They're just up there, take 3 pitches, strike out, and sit down. So that is our 4 chairs. That's our 4 representations of faith. And I know we can break that down further, but for tonight, that's going to be our 4 chairs, our 4 representations of faith. So now, I'm going to say something that may now be a little bit hard to wrap your head around, but if you truly think about it, it does make sense. This 4th chair right here, somebody that has nothing to do with God, no faith in their life, doesn't want anything to do with God, has as much in common to this 2nd chair, somebody that has not made that commitment, that nominal Christian that hasn't made that biggest step of all to make that fully committed relationship with God, than that no doubt Christian believer has compared to this nominal Christian. There's that big of a gap from right here to right here, the 2nd to 1st chair. You know, it's not a hard gap to make. We just have to look inside of ourselves and make that decision, but it is a huge commitment and a huge gap to cross. But when we cross that gap, at that point, we know where we're headed. There may be obstacles in our life that may get us down, but if we're in that 1st chair, that no doubt Christian chair, at the end of the day, when we've ran our race, we know what's waiting for us. We know what we're looking forward to, and that's heaven. So again, this nominal Christian has a giant step to make to get to that no doubt Christian chair, a big decision. Just as much, almost, I would say, as the person that's not baptized yet has to make the decision to first get baptized. So we get an example of this, why it is so important to not just have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, to be that nominal Christian in Revelations. Revelations 3:15 through 16 reads, "To the church of Laodicea, I know your deeds, that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish you either one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth." So we get a good example. You know, God's not messing around. He gives us the exact what we need. He's telling us he doesn't want us here just on Sundays. We, just like I believe Greg said it the other day, we have our Bible in the back of the car and we go home. We never crack that Bible open again. God is wanting us in his word, in his house, each and every day that we can be. Each and every day we need to be reading the Bible. But each and every day that those doors are open, he wants us to be in here worshiping and growing in our faith. There is no, again, half in, half out. We are either fully committed or we're not committed at all. If we're not in that 1st chair, we might as well be in the last chair. We might as well not have anything to do with God if we're not willing to fully commit our lives and become that no doubt Christian believer. And again, it tells us that in Revelations. There's no mixing words. He tells us, if you are neither hot nor cold, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. So you might be asking me now, what can we do? What can we do to go from either the 3rd chair, 4th chair, 2nd chair, to that 1st chair, that no doubt Christian believer? One of the biggest things I think we can do, we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to reflect on where we're at God knows where our heart's at. But if we're not honest with God and we're not coming to him with that relationship where we need to be, it's not going to matter. We have to be honest with God and say, hey, God, I realize this is where I'm at. This is my shortcomings. This is where I'm needing to be. Whether it's, we have something holding us back. If there's something holding us back, we have to come to God with that to overcome that to get to that first chair. There's no way to get to that first chair unless we're honest with God. Because again, he already knows what's in our hearts. He knows what we're going to do before we do it. But if we're not honest with him and we're not upfront and we don't have a mindset to change, we're never going to get to that first chair. We're never going to become that no-doubt Christian believer. One of the next biggest things, and this is kind of point 1A, 1B, they kind of go together, but we're going to call them point 2. We read or we sing in one of our songs. I don't know the name of it. I should have looked it up. But one of the songs we sing, it clearly states we're a family of God. That's one of our biggest benefits of being a family. We're a brother and sister in Christ. We have a family in this church. It is not just one person that's got to deal with everything going on in their life. We have others that we can go to. We're all running that one race, but we don't have to do it by ourselves. We have others that can help lift us up, help get us through those hard times, or encourage us through the good times. Again, like I said, the first point, we have to be honest. If somebody was to hand you something that was broken and said, here, fix it, what would be the first thing you do? First thing you're going to do is diagnose it, correct? You're going to figure out what's wrong with it. If we're not honest and we don't come to God with what's wrong in our lives, we can't fix it. There's no going around it. We have to go through it to overcome it and to grow past it, to repent. So again, that will be the first two things. We need to be honest with ourselves, and we have that family of God around us. We have a great example of that in Hebrews 10, 24 through 25. It says, let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. It plainly tells us to encourage one another. Whether something's wrong or something's great, we're there for each other. What we're doing is we're living a life for God. We're meant to be all in, fully committed. So again, that one day, when our life is over, we get to hear that well done, good and faithful servant. That we get to spend eternity with our like-minded brothers and sisters in heaven, where there is no more pain, there is no more sorrow, there's no suffering. Because again, like I said, there's going to be obstacles in our way. We're going to have some bad things happen. We're not told that it's an easy race. But it's what matters at the end of that race. That's what matters. Nothing can hurt us here on heaven or in earth. Once we're in heaven, there's nothing. All the obstacles we have here on earth are gone. We may lose a loved one. That's sad. But if we live our life and they've lived their life, when it's all said and done, we get to see them once again in heaven. And that's our main goal. That should be our end goal, again, in Christianity, is to be able to get others to Christ, to run our race, and then get to heaven, to live with others in eternity and God in eternity. So I encourage each one of us, if you're in this third chair, you've got a big decision to make. Really, you've got two decisions to make. You've got to make that decision to become a believer, and then you've got to dig down deep and realize that you want to become a no-doubt Christian believer. But if you're in that second chair, you've got just as big a gap. You've got to look inside yourself, be honest with yourself, and have others in your way. I'm so fortunate in my life that I've had 4 grandparents that were no doubt Christian believers that I was able to grow up looking at and having in my life as mentors, that they showed me what it was like to be a Christian. They showed me the love God has for others, that love that I need to have. And we don't, I'm happy to share the ones I have left. More than happy to share them as mentors. But that's another big thing. That's my third point. We can have those others, not just a family of God, but we can have, someone individually that we can go to as a no-doubt Christian believer that's there for us. That's there in the good times and the bad times. That's there to lift us up. Or if we're having trouble with something, if we're struggling with something, even to make that leap from that second chair to that third chair. They can be the second chair to first chair. They can be there for us. They can encourage us. They can lift us up. They can give us those words of wisdom that can help us out. So again, I encourage you, there's no time like the present. We are not promised tomorrow. What we are promised is eternity in heaven if we're living that race, living that good life, and we finish out that race here on earth. We're promised that eternity in heaven. So again, there's no time like now. I encourage our church. I want us to be that church in the community that everybody looks at and says, they're there for everyone. They are a no-doubt Christian church that God's love just overflows out of their building. I would like us to be honestly called the crazy Christians. I would take that title very happily. If somebody thought I was so involved in God that I was crazy, that there's no way you can fully commit yourself that much to somebody like that, I would much appreciate that title. I would love that. So again, there is no time like now. If you've not made that first commitment, I encourage you. Meet with Bobby, meet with Luther, meet with someone in this church that you can consider a no-doubt Christian believer. There's many, many here that will help you, that will guide you along to get to that first chair. If you're in that second chair, you've got just as big a commitment. You've got to figure out what's going on in your life that's holding you back from becoming that no-doubt Christian believer. Whatever it may be, you've got to figure that out, just like with the broken device. You've got to dig down deep, figure out what's going on in your life. What is going to take you to commit to God? So again, as I close, I really want us to evaluate our lives. If you're already in that first chair, be that mentor to somebody else that's not. Find somebody else in the community that you can help get to either a Christian believer to begin with or to that no-doubt Christian chair. That, again, when they're done with their race here on earth, they know where they're going. I would love to see each and every one of us, and as a whole, have Westside Christian Church in heaven, and to be able to see each and every member here, and to be able to live eternity there in paradise. So again, if you have questions, there are so many people you can come to. I don't know anyone in this church that will not help you. There is so much love for God in this church that it's crazy. And I'm so thankful to be able to grow up in this church, to be able to see that in so many people's lives. And I hope that we continue that. I want us to keep growing. I mean, we've had several new members come. I want us to be able to expand, to have to break these walls down and get more pews. I would love to see that. But again, if there's something holding you back, figure out what that is. Go talk to somebody. You don't have to do it on your own. This is not a one-person race. We all have the same end goal, and that is to eventually get to heaven and to be able to live our life in eternity. So I'm going to close this out in prayer. If anybody needs help, I pray that you come forward. I truly do. Whether it be now, again, if you want me to talk to you, I will. If I don't have the answers, I'll figure it out. I'll get with Greg. Greg is one of the smartest Christians that I know as far as coming up with stuff. I bounce stuff off Greg all the time if I have questions. So, we'll figure it out. That's part of it. Again, we're a family of God. If somebody doesn't have the answer, if somebody doesn't know, we'll figure it out. We'll find somebody that does. We'll get through it. Because again, we've all, if you're a Christian, you understand some of the traps that can be out there. Some of the things that the devil's going to have to bring us down. So we can be there for one another. We may not be going through the same exact thing, but we can understand, we can empathize, we can help get through that together. So I pray today that we're able to do that we're able to grow as a church, outreach, bring others in, and just have that church, us be the Westside Christian Church that is the no-doubt Christian believers that I know we can be. Shall we pray? Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us again to be in your house, Lord. I pray that each and every one of us here, Lord, what decision they have to make, that they're able to make that decision to get closer to you today, Lord. There is no time like the present. I pray that they're able to make that decision and grow, Lord, and find, if they are in that great place, that no-doubt Christian place, that they're able to find somebody else that is not there and help that person grow to know you better and to make that decision, Lord. Be with, again, the many sick we have out. I know there's several. Be with us throughout the rest of this week, Lord, and let our light shine for you and bring others closer to you, Lord. And may everything we do be for you. Amen.